Welcome back to another episode of Alive Partner TV. I am your host and creator of Alive Partner, Dr. Mario Torres Leon. I say this every single time, and it may actually sound a little repetitive, but it's actually true. And is I am so excited to be hosting somebody who is incredibly special, somebody who is a super powerhouse of a woman in her petite body. And I really mean that respectfully. She is a freaking powerhouse. Her name is Kelli Dottridge. Kelli lives here in the United States in the eastern coast of the country. And besides having become a very dear friend of mine because she's actually known my wife for a long time, she has become, in a very powerful way, a super esteemed member of the Alive partner community, the Alive community. And today I am incredibly excited to receive her, to welcome her, to be on the receiving end of her generosity for being here with us, to listen to her and to listen about her life's journey and the things that have happened along the way in that journey, which has had many different avenues to it. Incredible ahas, a woman with very deep insights, a courage that you don't get to see often. Reason why I call her a super powerhouse, because her willingness, her desire to go to the depth of who she is and the depth of the experience is praiseworthy, and I admire it deeply. So I can't just say welcome enough to you, Kelli, for being here. And thank you for your generosity, for gifting us with your time and your presence here in Alive Partner TV.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
You're so welcome. It's great to have you. Kelli, let's take a deep dive into this.
Mhm.
When I think of you, I think of a woman who is really no stranger to danger, and I don't mean that negatively. I mean it in the most respectful sense, because you're somebody who is a seeker. And that is an element that I get to experience very often in both men and women here in the Alive Partner community. But something that is remarkable about you, in my experience of you, is your willingness, which is not necessarily something that is intuitive to many. I also
Mhm.
see you as an incredibly courageous woman and somebody who's actually a trailblazer as well. When we were doing our second to last edition of the 28-day gratitude launchpad, and you were part of that cycle with people from all over the world, I have to say you were one of the first people to really start showing up in a very powerful, very deep way. And what started to happen is that you became, without a doubt, an agent of transformation within the community. And I would like to pass it on to you now and invite you to share with us, where are all these things coming from? What's the journey? What that journey was for Kelli, like, to basically be that kind of person. And I'm sure that there is a lot behind that. Go ahead.
Thank you. The first thing that I do want to say is that your kindness and generosity with the warmth of your welcome and everything, before GL28, I would not have been able to receive that. So that is a huge thing that I just want to share right away because I don't want to miss mentioning my level of receptivity to love, kindness, generosity has opened tremendously. And I know that willingness to be open is really what affords me the opportunity to have the most amazing and magical experiences in my life, from a simple interaction with maybe the person I'm who's pouring my coffee at the coffee shop to my most beloved family members. So for that I am so grateful. I feel the expansiveness of what how much more come is able to come in. So so grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, how I got here, like most other people, was not because the road was paved with, roses. It was bloody hard. And I appreciate that we choose challenges in this lifetime to grow us. And sometimes we step up to it, and sometimes we choose not to. And I, when I was 16, I really think was the first time I got a real idea about, ooh, there's something more going on. And
Mm,
this yearning to grow. And a cousin who I love greatly was doing applied kinesiology. And she was new to this work and did a demo in front of me. And my mind went, whoa. And it started from there. And fast track to, well, what year are we? 13 years ago, 13 years ago already. Holy cow. I got divorced. And, I was growing along the way, of course, but I was raising children and my children are very spread out in age. So I was in the weeds, so to speak, with the little ones for many, 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 many years. And so when I got divorced, I really realized how hard my life was. I was
mm,
experiencing a lot of anger. I was having difficulty being as present and loving with my children as I wanted to be. And there was a moment I see it right now as if it would happen 5 minutes ago. I was standing in my kitchen, and my two youngest children are twins, and they were sitting at the counter in the kitchen. And I had this profound moment where I was feeling some anger or some impatience. And I went, I don't want to be this mom. I
mm,
don't want my children to grow up and say, "My mom was always angry." And what was my next action after that? I have absolutely no idea how it unfolded in that moment, but what I do know is that the next right thing kept showing up for me, and I needed to do something for work, and chose to start a cleaning business. My children were young. I wanted to get them on and off the school bus. I wanted time flexibility to be able to volunteer at school and go on field trips and be home with them when they were sick and still be able to be the mom I wanted to be and make money. So that fit the bill. The I was a little resistant at the beginning, and I had judgments about it. And one of the most beautiful things that has come out of that is that somewhere along the way, I found YouTube and sort of, I call it therapied myself. And it just kept evolving to the next, what am I ready for now? What am I ready for now? So I really had so much time and opportunity to dig in and do all these things. Fast forward to a few months ago when I was given the information for GL28. And the funny thing is, I had written myself a note. I'm a big note taker, and I had a note of kind of putting together a little bit of a more intentional morning schedule for myself, and
mm.
put a note on there, more gratitude. And
Wow.
then within a few days, I got an email from Dr. Kim saying, "Hey, this is going on." And I said, "Yeah, why not?" Initially, I thought, like many people, you use the book, The Magic, as a part of the overall program. And I was like, "Oh, I've done that, but I never finished it. I could do that." Before we did the first activity, I realized already that this program was way bigger than that book. Way, way bigger. Um, the very first video I made I got so much value out of. Um, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I remember sharing that I felt such shame in my body, that I felt so much shame for just being a cleaning lady. And that moved something for me, and it just grew from there.
For everybody who's actually joining us now to watch this new edition of Alive Partner TV in the Human Power series, we have started conversations with Kelli Dottridge, one of our beloved and esteemed members in the Alive community. And Kelli just shared something in a very nonchalant way, like it's a nothing. And she basically revealed these feelings of shame. This is something that is not, any of you who's watching this, that is not how human beings talk. This is not where we gravitate to actually call ourselves out on things.
Yeah.
This is a product of somebody who has a tremendous level of commitment to really living. And I want to acknowledge you, Kelli, big time publicly for being able to even say that in an interview because that is so powerful, so beautiful, so profound. And it says way more about you than anything that I could have done in an introduction, which is this true desire to meet yourself fully
Yeah.
every single moment the way that you're doing your life right now. It is impossible to go backwards. It is impossible to not have a fuller life, an alive life,
Mhm.
unless somebody's doing exactly what you did candidly. You see, and not only that, Kelli, in you doing that, you're really giving license to the planet and everybody watching this. It's okay. Can you walk us, Kelli? Because you mentioned having come across my community through Dr. Kim Durama's community, the founder of the American Institute of Mind Body Medicine. And can you maybe give us a little bit of background of some of the work that perhaps you were doing inside of that community in terms of your
Absolutely.
personal development? Because we've heard many times, the cliche statement, the teacher appears when the student is ready. And I'm
Mm.
not really saying that for myself, but rather to highlight the fact that you have already been on a journey with other people through your willingness to seek your desire to gravitate towards your growth that really started to be ignited at the age of 16 as you shared,
Mm.
and that was guiding you through different avenues that you were navigating through your adult life since then to basically continue this journey of growth, right? So it's not like you came here and suddenly something magical just happened inside of my community. No, you were, to your credit, you were already navigating this path of you seeking to address those areas that you wanted to grow, to expand, to learn, which
Mm.
I it's super praiseworthy. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that and some of the things that you learned, or perhaps better said, experienced, that
Mm.
eventually got you here? But I'm sure that you must have done a lot of things that were really significant for you, perhaps inside of our community, or maybe inside of other communities where you found some of the things that you were looking for.
Sure. Um, so I mentioned before we started that couple summers ago, maybe I don't know, a few summers ago. Anyway, I stumbled upon Kyle Cease. He kept
Uh-huh.
coming up in my video feed. And so one day I said, "Okay, universe, I'll watch." And the content really struck me. So I started following his work, and within days or a week found Dr. Kim because they were doing some collaboration.
Mhm.
The moment I heard her, I fell in love with this woman, and I feel tears because I am so, so grateful. I am so grateful. I truly feel in my heart that she is one of the people who said to me, "Kelli, go take on this big life that you're taking on. It's going to be hard. And when you're ready, I'll be there. And it won't have to be so hard anymore.
Mm.
I have been doing a lot of different practices and then meeting Dr. Kim. And I started just listening. I devoured every video she had on YouTube. And I feel like she 10x'd where I was at. And this was before I even started one of her actual programs.
By the way, this may be the ultimate definition of mind body medicine binging.
Oh,
Right?
hey, sometimes I clean 6 hours a day. I mean, I have an opportunity to really devour content that other people may not have, um, and put it into practice and really make the time because I realized that my life could be better. There are areas where it could be more expansive, where I could feel better, where I could feel more joy. And one of the things I remember. I was in her one of her programs. It's not Be the Medicine, it's one of her other shorter, maybe 4-month programs. I did it twice with Tina, and I showed up to that, and I'm like, "Just whatever happens, this is what we're doing, like, let it rip." And I had some serious catharsis on video, and I'm like, "I don't care." Crying my eyes out, mascara pouring down my face, tearing my shirt off like I had a tank top underneath, but sweating so hot. But I'm like, "This is such a huge opportunity to move some giant amount of stuff that's not serving me, that's
Mm.
holding me down from living my greatest joy." And I'm like, I'm just, I have this beautiful opportunity to let it go. And one day, I had a few opportunities like that. And one day she said to me, she said, "Kelly, you've done so much work. Now it's time to focus on joy." And it hit me like, whoa. So that's when I was like, okay, I have been on a mission. Now it's time to sit back and enjoy some of the fruits of my labor. And I literally put notes all over the place to remind myself, remember joy, because
Mm.
it wasn't a part of my regular being. As I said before, I had small children. One would start first grade and then I had a baby again. And this happened, I have like 3 sets of only children. I was, you know, in that day-to-day lot, demand on me for so long that doing something for myself just because it's fun, or
Mhm.
just going about my day in a joyful way that's not like, "Get it done, accomplish, da da," like, "Oh, wait, I could have fun?" I could have fun doing the day-to-day crap. Wow, what a change. And it it actually, as crazy as it sounds, took a little intention. And
Mm.
then I thought, "Ooh, this feels nice."
Nice.
And, it was a game changer. It really was a game changer. And from starting out with Dr. Kim and having her coach me through really allowing those heavy feelings to come up and letting them fully be expressed, I feel like that was such a huge permission slip, training ground to pre-prime me to come into this program, to be open
Mhm.
to, I'm going to receive whatever I get from this and I'm just throwing it down. Um,
That's a great way to put it. Thank you for sharing that because it's super powerful. You see, I like to think, and it's my awareness that we are a patch quilt of experiences as human beings. We're a patch quilt. We're
Yeah.
mutts, emotionally and spiritually speaking. It's like
Yeah.
all these little pieces that we become them as we go through the journey. And at some point, we may just rip off a little piece of the fabric of the quilt that doesn't really appeal to me fashion wise today, and let's just take that off and maybe replace it with something else.
Yeah.
You had this journey, which was as I experienced it, and in listening to you, it was truly a foundational preparational journey, if you will, that you were on.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that happens when people come to the Alive Partner community, and we have a multitude of, as you know, experiential courses, as I call them, or experiences. So people come for different reasons and so on. As it pertains to GL 28 or the 28-day gratitude launchpad, that was your way to come into our community. It's really interesting and funny at the same time because I've been asked many times, you know, yeah, you used the book The Magic, and I want to make a little parenthesis here. Yes, we used the magic, and the magic was the source of inspiration for me to really take a lot of my body of work in the mind body medicine space and really pour it in a different way. As you said, I go into day one and I realize this is not the book The Magic. It's not a rehash. And thank you for saying that because it's not. But I do acknowledge with tremendous gratitude Rhonda Byrne's work that
Mhm.
that led to the creation of the book, no question. Um, but I've been asked many times, is this just the book, right? Is it more of just the same? Because I've done that, and I come across a lot of people that come into our community, and um, they've had their backgrounds, and they have this notion of I've done it all already. So what else is here that I haven't done before?
Right.
And in other words, almost like convince me that there's something here for me. I never really take on that challenge because it's not real. I'm not here trying to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
But something very different happened that you started to experience when you came in, and you were obviously in the company of close to 200 people from all over the world in that journey. And the foundational premise of pretty much everything that I do is really summed up in a very short expression, which you've heard before. And for those people who are new to my work and new to the TV show, I'll mention it, which is gratitude plus feeling
Mhm.
equals healing.
Mhm.
That may sound airy fairy, and I would like to invite you to share with the audience what that experience has been like, because we know, I mean, I know you, but the audience doesn't, that there's a lot to be unpacked in those three words in that little equation. And
Yeah.
I have not been able, after more than 30 years of being in medicine, spending a lot of time in the coaching space, going back to my first experience leading people and coaching people at the age of 12, my story.
Yeah.
I to this at the moment that we're recording this, I do not know, outside of saying the word love, which is kind of all encompassing for everything. I don't know of anything that I've come across and I have been aware of or downloaded that could say more than those three words together: gratitude plus feeling equals healing. Can you speak to that, Kelly, and share your experiences with
Sure.
that?
Sure. Yeah. In the earlier days, I would when I read The Magic, watch The Secret, um, watch Law of Attraction videos, in the beginning, so to speak, it was gratitude, 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 and that was nice, but there was still something missing
Mhm.
with gratitude and then feeling. I think we were sold something before that says gratitude is being grateful for all the wonderful, happy things, the things that feel really good. But what if the wonderful things can be the things that feel awful? And can we adapt? Can we shift into the perspective that, oh, this feels awful to me? And where is the opportunity here? How is this working for me? We hear it thrown around a lot. Life is working for me, not against me. And when we really can get present to that, um, my belief system is that I said earlier that we choose certain things to experience in this life for our growth. And for me, that's such a foundational idea that really helps me a lot, and that's I'm continuing to get more solidified in the certainty of that when something happens or nothing happens, well, I guess there's always a catalyst. Sometimes we don't know what the catalyst is, that there are these uncomfortable feelings, whether physically and or emotionally, to bring presence to that, bring love to that, bring appreciation to that, and know that bringing the all of those, bringing all of that to the physical feeling and or the emotion, that's where the healing comes in. And when I'm so blessed in that my children, especially my 18-year-old daughter, she and her boyfriend will sit and talk with me for hours about this stuff because I can geek out on this stuff. To me, it's like my jam. And in explaining it to them, I've often said, um, picture a toddler that's having a meltdown. How is the toddler going to feel loved? And how is that toddler going to move through the emotion in the most graceful way and really the fastest way? Clearly, going toward this is not like, "Ooh, let's hurry this along," but you love, you give that child your attention and your presence and your love, and it moves the energy along. And if we do that for ourselves, we feel it. We have gratitude. Thank you, this is coming up. Thank you that this is coming up because it's giving me an opportunity to clear away something that no longer serves me anymore. Um, so that's has really helped me grow my gratitude. GL28 program has really helped me grow my gratitude, grow my certainty that when something emotionally or physically uncomfortable is coming up, that it is an absolute gift to me to really bring presence to it, to heal it, to expand my life, expand my being. And that in turn impacts everybody.
That's beautiful. Kelly, one of the biggest aha moments for people in the community that are going through a cycle of GL28 is the moment when we start to talk and practice the active embracing of those things that are not what we label as the positive or,
Yeah.
feel good moments or emotions.
Mhm.
And that creates a seismic shift. It's a huge paradigm shift for people in the community because we are still in the conversation in the collective of celebrating what's good and trying to really go really fast over the things that don't feel good.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is essential in the work that we do and the safety of the community, the container where we work in, is no,
Yes.
we want to embrace every single thing that is coming up. We want to
Mhm.
be able to allow it. We want to be able to witness it. We will do everything to not judge it
Mhm.
so that we can transcend it and really gain massive insights, awareness, and gifts from that process of actively embracing not just the good stuff. There's no
Right.
good or bad. The way that we look at everything in the context of our community is just the human experience surfacing up, and I'm going to show up for it the same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
Yes. I have experienced so much healing from the community. The community is such a safe and supportive place
It is.
to really share. And I, when after I did that, well, actually, while I was doing the very first video, I just, I'm like, just bring it all. And even if I was uncomfortable, I would post the video. I make a video, I don't look at it again. I do not look at it before I post it because I don't want to judge myself. I don't want to criticize. I don't want to second guess. I make the video, it was authentic in the moment, and I send it out there. And that has challenged me greatly. Not as much anymore, but it really has probably up until last week, I was still, having some levels of discomfort. And the community has been so loving, so supportive. The feedback has been amazing. And the value I've received from other people in the community, from their sharing, their willingness, their vulnerability. Um, the other day, Susan shared something very deeply in regard to relationships, and that really created an opening for me in some aspects of relationships that I am um, looking at more and haven't really dug into to the degree that I intend to. So the community is just absolutely amazing. Um, and saying that also, I've had the willingness to look at all my stuff, and I didn't realize for a long time that I wasn't looking at all this stuff because
Hmm.
I had such a pattern of holding it down that I didn't even realize it was there. It's like the fish in the water. The fish has never been out of the water, so it doesn't even know there's water around it. What's water? It's always been there as long as I can possibly remember. I've had this anxiety across my solar plexus, just like this
Wow.
knot. And um for the first time in my life, in the last few weeks of this GL28, I don't have it anymore. It comes up occasionally. So occasionally, I realized this morning that for the amount of time it comes up now, which is so small, is actually the amount of time previous to GL28 that I would not be experiencing that. And it was awful. It was awful. I felt just like I could never really relax.
Mm.
Just this, oh, and to release that has been, I often wondered if it would ever go away. It was really awful. It was really awful.
If you're new to this conversation, you're watching a Life Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres Leon in another amazing edition of the HPS or the Human Power series with my very special guest, Mrs. Kelli Dottridge. What Kelli just shared with all of us is simply, I'm going to call it how it is. It's miraculous.
It is.
And I just want to be very specific when I use the word miracle because it's something that is overused, and I'm not, the way that we use it here is not silly, it's really respectful, and it's honest. And I'm really referring to things that our conventional wisdom cannot really explain. Our senses are gathering all this information and they're very sure of the experience that they're having. And yet we cannot explain it with that conventional wisdom. For somebody who has been experiencing, like Kelli just shared, certain experiences, physical experiences, in some cases, it could be symptoms if somebody has a particular diagnosis. Forever, or as long as you can remember as an adult, we come to points where we conclude that this is my condition of life and I am not going to be able to change this, and I'm just going to have to somehow deal with it, numb myself to it, just
Mm,
take it.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
very common. But what you're speaking to, Kelli, is truly miraculous because, first of all, it took a giant leap in your consciousness, and people may call it in your faith, in your belief system, whichever words fit you best, to give this a different try or just a try, period.
mhm.
Like, I am going to put myself through this, and since there's nothing being done that is going to harm you, we don't do anything like that in the community. Well,
Yeah,
let's just give this a try.
yeah.
And what's really powerful in this work, Kelli, and maybe you can speak to that, is we really tap into the power of the feeling body,
Mhm, mhm.
start really connecting the dots, as some people have said in my community. This allowed me to connect the dots for the first time in my life. And now I don't feel any of those things that were, as you're saying, awful feelings. Like, when is this ever going to go away?
Yeah, yeah.
That to me, in the concept of my work as a physician, my life, and seeing the things that I have seen that I cannot explain through conventional wisdom or knowledge, or what I
Mhm.
learned in my different schooling years, to me that's miraculous. But the thing is, as you know, Kelli, and maybe you can share that with the audience, because you have now witnessed so much in a relatively short amount of time relative to how old you and I are, of things that have been possible for people to experience that they had no idea was even possible for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And you speak to that.
Yeah, and, I'm going to share something that I don't I mean, I don't know if I've really told many people this at all, but just to really drive the point home is this anxiety was so bothersome that I would have, the glass of wine in the evening to try to take the edge off. I would smoke marijuana to try to take the edge off. Sometimes I would smoke a lot of marijuana because I thought I can't take it anymore. I
Mhm.
mean, I it was it was so bad. Um Fun things, like fun events or outings, for me would often just feel so overwhelming that I couldn't enjoy them because the anxiety was that bad. And this is still after all these years of doing all the things and meditating, and I have a clean diet, and I exercise, and I go to yoga, and I do all the things. And it's still until the GL-28 and until I was able to be here. Hi, I feel you. I'm with you. Thank you for showing me that there's something here that needs my attention.
Mm.
Thank you for showing me that you need my attention. Instead of putting it out there somehow, I need you right here. I need you here. And that was the game changer. And through the coaching and reflections that I received through the program helped me see that I was still holding it down because I thought I was doing well, and I was. And there was still so much more that I could access that I wouldn't have been able to access by myself. And I think that's one of the places where so many people on their growth journey limit themselves is they get another book, they watch the YouTube videos, and I in my personal experience, there's only so far we can go by ourselves. We get so used to our own stuff, as I did, that I didn't even see it. So I had the reflection of your coaching and the group to help me see something I wasn't seeing before.
That's incredibly powerful. I just want to acknowledge you again in being so candid and so open and vulnerable. Even mentioning the aspect of drinking and marijuana. Nowadays, with the legalization, particularly you live in the eastern part of the country where marijuana is legal, uh,
Yeah,
this stigma has really kind of been in many ways kind of taken away. But independent of those two elements as forms of some form of medication, if you will, to address what's being felt and all of that, there are many things beyond the scope of those two particular chemicals that people go to, and some
sure.
of them still consider illegal, or some of them truly hard and detrimental to the body by best of what we know scientifically.
Yeah.
But the message is not about judging the people who are in that journey and gravitating towards those things to find relief and this sense of alleviation of what they're experiencing. I completely understand that from a big picture, and I have a lot of compassion for that. The biggest moment that starts to happen, and you're not the only person who's revealed things like this that have had other modalities that and things they have gone to be able to really find a place where they can at least breathe emotionally and spiritually to feel better. So you're not alone. But your point is really powerful because the aspect of having community, like you said, and having
Yeah.
this non-judgmental container where people come to really honor one another. It's very unusual in society. Like I personally have not experienced it elsewhere in any other community I've been part of myself.
Yeah.
I do know that in Dr. Kim's programs, there's a lot of that too,
Mhm.
because I know how much I know that space very well, and I know how much it honors its membership and the people who are in the community. So I can say that they do practice that, but it's not really a common thing, and it's even more uncommon to come to communities where there is the element of videos
Mhm.
we create almost on a daily basis as part of the experience, which to
Yeah.
my knowledge, no community really does that. We do because it really addresses an issue, a big challenge that humans are going through, which is it's a bigger pandemic than COVID in my estimation, and I'm not trying to be funny. It is what I call the IHV. You've heard me talk about this, the invisible human virus.
Yeah.
We are quote unquote being seen by our immediate world, but we're truly living invisible lives of suffering inside, and everybody has an element of this. And my big aha with that particular subject and bringing it to the world and speaking to it and really catering to the community to create the experiences to be able to heal that is we need to be able to be seen.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do is we leverage our technology and creating videos and so on based on the really kind, gentle, I would like to say tender prompts that I call quick bites.
Mhm.
Whoever is watching this and doesn't know that word, what that stands for is quick invitations or quick invites. Nothing forced. Nobody has to do any of this. But I know that it works when we start to somehow bring ourselves to the table and allow ourselves to be seen first and foremost by ourselves one on one, just
Sure.
having that moment and then seeing how the world inside of the community responds to us when we show up in such magnificent ways. Isn't that something
Oh,
different?
there's so much there. Um, the community is so valuable in that, yes, like you said, so many of us who are in this, I hate to say level of work, for lack of a better term, um, I don't have anyone in my physical day-to-day life who, is doing this type of work. I have some, higher consciousness friends than others, and not to this degree or doing this type of work. So, without a virtual opportunity like this, I, like most other people, would be floating around out here by ourselves without this level of support and community of people who are up to the same kind of a game. Um, the quick fights, the bonus, there's a quick fight and a bonus every day. A person can come into this program and dip their toe in the water and do a few of the quick fights. They could record the video at home and get the value and not choose to share it in the community. I don't know that people do that, but I don't know that they don't. Um, they would still get value. The nice thing that I think about this program and this community is that you can do it to the degree that you are ready,
Yes.
and the degree that you're ready can change in any moment.
Yes.
Um, I I said earlier that I make the video, I put it up there, and there are times where I'm self-conscious, like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that," and the judgmental voice will come up. Our last group call really helped me move a lot of that, and, really just allow myself to be seen at a different level than I was just last week. Um,
No question.
yeah. And it's wonderful because, again, if I didn't have the community, the thought came to my mind this weekend is Easter. I'll be gathering with my family. I love them all dearly. And I wouldn't I it's a different environment. We're all up to different things. Not bad, you know, there's value in all of that. I love them very much, and I would not be able to show up at that gathering and perhaps share the same things. "Hey, this is what's going on for me," and be able to be in a safe container, to be able to be held and just seen for that, to be able to receive the type of feedback that could be useful. They would support me in the way they can do it, and it wouldn't be really as supportive as an environment like this.
You're 100% right. And another thing that comes to my awareness, Kelly, as I hear you speak about this, which you're spot on. There is something really special when we have been led to believe by the collective and things that are said in the media and so on that it's not really possible to connect with strangers at this kind of level, that it's not something you do.
Mm,
And I, our experience tells us otherwise.
mhm,
We have seen that we have connected with people very deeply in a very intimate way, in a
mhm.
really respectful way, in a sacred way
Yeah,
with one another from all sorts of backgrounds, men and women and so on, younger people and people going up to their 80s, as you know,
yeah.
in a way that has been truly seamless because the intention has been the intention of being human.
Mhm,
And that common thread is not only powerful, but it's beautiful
mhm.
when you get to experience whether you're at the center of the receiving piece or somebody who is part of the fabric, who is in the giving end
Yeah,
towards somebody else's growth and healing, to see that there is more commonality amongst us than there are differences.
yeah.
And to experience that first-handedly is it's incredibly special. Kelly, as we're coming to an end in the show and approaching the end, Um, People ask, is this really for me? I've had that. We get emails and so on. My team does and so on, and we answer it. And obviously, I like to say, if you're human, it's like it's for everybody, right?
Right.
But if I say it, it may come across like I'm trying to tell people to do something. And as you know from being with me now for time, that's not how I operate. Uh,
Right.
how would you answer that, Kelly, for people who are maybe considering this or are new to what we do? What would you tell them?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is if you're breathing and watching this, then yes.
Right?
Because, you know, none of us make it out of childhood, um, unscathed.
Unscathed.
It just doesn't happen, and I don't think we're supposed to, because if it was all, as Abraham Hicks says, if it was all a feathered nest, like, we would never grow and learn, so we have to have the challenges and such. Um, but what we haven't typically been given are the tools to deal with that in really expansive ways. If you have areas of your life where you're not living a 10 out of 10, then this is a great program for you. Um, the last GL28, I got engaged. This GL28, I got unengaged, or 3 days, 4 days before it started, I got unengaged. And this program has been such a blessing for me, particularly at this time, because it's helped me to really unearth so many of the stuck emotions and patterns that kept me in this cycle of in relationship that wasn't really for my highest and best. So if you have areas of your life, whether it's work, whether it's relationship with your intimate partner or your children or your physical body, if they're not all you would like them to be, then why not do the program and see what might shift for you? Um, you really, there's nothing to lose. Like I said, on day one of the last GL28, I mean, if that's all I got, great. We had our first phone call of this GL28, and I went, wow, if I got nothing else out of it, that was worth it. And I keep getting more. And and it's incredible. It really, really is such an incredible blessing. And I can really look at all, I lovingly call it crap, all the crap in life, and really have gratitude for it. Is it all easy? No. Does stuff still come up for me? Yes. Are there people who I can be grateful they behaved the way they behaved? Sure. Do I want them in my life now? No, no. But I can lovingly not have them in my life. And all of those possibilities are open for everybody.
Thank you so much for saying that. I mean, so generous. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I like to really bring into the conversation the aspect of this experience in GL28 or some of the experiential courses that we offer inside of a life partner. At the end of the day, what they're really assisting us with is to really relearn what to be human is about,
Yeah.
to
Yes.
relearn what it is to come back into your body. One of the
Yeah.
things that I speak often, as you know, Kelly, and for those who are new to this conversation, you've been watching a Life Partner TV in another segment inside of the Human Power series with Mrs. Kelly Dottridge. One of the things that I talk about often in our community is the fact that we have been living still in the age of the brain since
Mhm.
the age of the Enlightenment and revering the power of the brain. And I am not here to discredit that. But what I am here to really take a stance for is the fact that we have disregarded, we really have, as a collective society, global society, to give credence to the information that our feeling bodies have to offer us, and the body gifts us with, so that we have more information for the brain to process differently, and for the two of them, the body and the brain, to work synergistically, so we can have a far more expansive experience of life.
Yeah.
And that's, in essence, what is at the center, at the core of our experiential courses. And in the GL28, clearly we bring the aspect of gratitude, unlike any other program that we do, and we infuse it heavily,
Mhm.
as you know, heavily, 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 with the aspect of waking up the feeling body and dialing that in. I have seen you in the multiple cycles that you have been actively participating in GL28, truly an exponential curve. I mean that, in
Yeah.
how you have been able to almost, I get to micro dialing how much you're feeling and where you're feeling it and the associations, and how
Mhm.
you can snap out of anything because you're really tuning in to such degree of power.
Yes, and it's so fast. It's happening faster and faster and faster,
That's
and
exactly
I
right.
notice yeah, this I can have a small offness, and I notice it, whereas before, I would have to wait until it was a major eruption, and now I can catch it so much more quickly, and if I can just real quick, you were saying we've revered the thinking. And that's where I spent so much space. I was doing a lot of that, like I said, YouTube learning, unlearn. And there was value in a lot of that stuff. And when I hit the wall of growth, was that I couldn't think my way out of it anymore. There was no more space for thinking. I had to get into the feeling body and feel it and let it move. And that really took something. I could not have done that without the really supportive coaching that I got from Dr. Kim and that I got in this space, because it was really scary at first. It
Mhm.
was it was a lot. It was really digging and allowing a depth of emotion that I had never allowed myself before, because as you said, this program is about embracing our humanity, and it's not always pretty. The big out, they, the culture we live in has been squashing the literal essence of who we are, our humanity. It's just
Yes.
been squashing the daylights out of us. And in order for us to really thrive, we need to embrace that.
No question. And one
We
of the
can
things,
live to be 95, but what quality of life are we going to have?
no question.
If stuck in a chair for 20 years because everything hurts in your body, no, thank you.
Yes, no
Not
question
for me.
about it. You
Not for
know,
me.
as we have unleashed the power of being able to connect those dots, that people come from all over the world. They come from all sorts of different communities in healing spaces and so on. And we're blessed to actually have that when they come to the Alive Partner community. But what has become evident to me now, for years of doing this work and now bringing it to the world, is that not having had a soul map, which is this physical representation where you can actually see, what
Yeah.
am I feeling, where in my body it's being lodged, where is it reflecting, where is it manifesting, that
Yeah.
gives you, as you're saying, it starts to go from this lengthy process of understanding to not having to understand. You access everything through the feeling body. You know where it's at because you've been
Yep.
using that soul map that we put out. And now, as you said, it becomes almost instantaneous. You pick it up. You don't have to think about this. Now it's active.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And now you go from 0 to 1,000 in no time. And it's like, oh, this is what's going on.
Hmm. Yeah.
Whole different experience of life. So
Yes.
many people that come from saying elsewhere, having done all sorts of work and having read all the books and this and that, now suddenly they're like, okay, I finally made the connection. All of this work that we're doing, fabulous, fantastic, super powerful. But now this has given them, and we all understand and learn in different ways. But in my experience, the people in my community who've done the universe of everything else and watched the 1,000 hours of YouTube, and they still are trying to go into like spiritual worlds to understand the healing process or experience it. Now they have the physical embodiment of what is it that they're feeling. And suddenly the two things they collapse and they just, it's like a big bang. It's like, oh, yes.
And it's just simple. Simple. It's so simple. We've made it so difficult. Read this book, do that program, blah 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 blah. And I still read some books and
Yes.
some programs. It depends on what really resonates with me and where is it coming from? Is it coming from up here or is it helping me to get more solid in landing in the body? Um
No question about that. Kelly, as we come to the conclusion of the of this episode, is there something that is resonating with you or speaking in your heart that you have not said that you would like to share with the community? Something that comes to your awareness?
Really, I think I've said everything.
Good. Great.
Just so, so, so grateful. I mean, I there aren't words really for my depth of gratitude. Um, I have a beautiful life. I really do.
Yes, you do.
And I'm really excited to see what else opens up. Um, I I'm really excited. I am really excited. If you think it's a yes, just say yes. That's what I would say.
Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate everything you've said, everything you've shared with such a candid, loving, vulnerable
Thank
way today with the audience. You have been watching A Life Partner TV with Dr. Mario Torres Leon, founder of A Life Partner, and I have been incredibly blessed to have a beautiful, beautiful, powerful woman who is an esteemed member of our Alive community come and share with us, Mrs. Kelli Dottridge. Kelly, there's no words to say thank you enough to you. I appreciate everything you've shared, and everybody in the community who knows you, as you know, they love you. They've said it. It's not an overkill to say that because it's the truth. So I continue to hold space for everything for you to continue to happen, for more things to come in exactly as they need to, for you to be the incredible receiver that you have become, for these things to continue to come into your life, into your family life, for your children, everything that you touch. Finally, as I like to say, every time that I conclude one of our broadcasts, I like to say the following. If you have liked this content and it has deeply resonated with you, please like it and leave your comments. But more important than any of that, you may be the catalyst of change in somebody else's life. If this deeply resonated with you, please share it with somebody or somebodies that you love in your life, that you deeply care about, that may be needing to hear Kelly's words because you may be that person in their lives who is the agent of change, the catalyst, the one who made that life or set of lives better because you took it a step further and you shared it with them. That is a huge gift of love and life for other people in your life. May you have an amazing, amazing rest of your day, and wishing that this conversation has truly been life changing for you. It certainly has been for me. Until next time, so long.